Good morning, everybody. It's about 10 minutes to 10 in the morning here on May 1st, 2026, and it's a Friday. Yes, happy Friday, I guess. And yeah, it's a little bit warmer. I guess maybe because it's the 1st of May, I don't know. Instead of being like -1, -2, 0, that sort of thing, I guess now we got like 4 degrees or 5 or something. I went jogging, haven't gone jogging for a month. Yeah, fabulous. I was even not so bad in my time after not going jogging after 1 week. So anyway, let's talk a little bit. Okay, I was saying think about a week ago, I was projecting that maybe there would be an attack by Donald Trump on Iran on the 1st of May. And I gave various reasons because a lot of things happened on the 1st of May. I guess you'd have to look that up. You can just look it up online and say, whatever happened historically on the 1st of May? You know, like shooting down of the spy plane, the U-2 spy plane, and that's the only one I can remember, but there's a lot of, I think it was something, maybe that's when supposedly they killed bin Laden. I think it was something to do with bin Laden. Anyway, a whole bunch of these events, and they like to do these things on certain anniversary days, you know, whenever they do something like that. And along with that, I was saying, and I guess I can stick by that, especially since now I guess it is CENTCOM. They are advising Donald Trump. I think there are top generals and they advise against an attack on Iran, but I believe it is maybe CENTCOM or some of them saying if you're going to do an attack, I believe they're saying that it has to be hit them hard, hit them fast, hit them low, and all that sort of thing. And hit them, you know, anyway, they're saying some sort of a short campaign. Very, very, very hard, and yeah, devastating and all that. And of course, that's what I said already anyway. I was projecting that that's probably what Donald Trump is going to do, because a lot of the decision to make an attack, of course, comes from Israel. But maybe how that attack is conducted is maybe up to Donald Trump. But as you know, and I don't know, it's a pretty well believed by so many people that Israel is in charge. So Israel is the one that, I think it's because Donald Trump is compromised. And I think a lot of people also agree with that. They say maybe it's because he's compromised because of the Epstein files. Whatever the case might be, Israel is the one that actually gives the orders to Donald Trump. And to a large extent, Benjamin Netanyahu has admitted that they report to him. That was almost his exact words, that they report to him every single day. And apparently, multiple times lately, they've been reporting to Benjamin Netanyahu, and I think it's even Trump personally doing so. I think I saw some blurb like that. You never know what to believe. You know, the things that want to prove your point, it's not necessarily that it's true. And unfortunately, a lot of those people that are the truth activists online, either on YouTube or having their other podcasts or anything like that, a lot of us, and I guess I'll say collectively because, you know, I'm one of those types of persons, but I'm not the type of person. I try not to go with fake news because I want to believe it because it proves my point. I don't want to do that. If it isn't true, I don't want to say it, because then you end up looking pretty stupid if anybody comes back and looks at your videos and said, you said this. So I don't really want to do that. And that's one reason why I'm saying that Trump's blockade of the blockade is actually effective in a lot of different ways. And so I don't know, beyond saying that, I'm not saying that Iran is going to get beat, but I'm just saying that that's effective. I'm not inside of Iran. There's a lot of tremendous amount of fake news, tremendous amounts of fake news by Donald Trump. I think I'm going to go sit on that other bench over there. Some lady walking her dog here. I guess she's walking the dog. That means she probably won't be sitting anywhere. But it's some, there's some garbage sitting around. There's some by that one too. And a lot of time it's the birds. They go through these big kind of like crow creatures. Somebody just wrote to me once and said what they're called. You know, they go through the garbage can and look for scraps of, there's a shawarma, you know, donors and shawarma place, you know, and people might not eat the whole thing and they go through. See, look at this garbage down here. So, but the birds didn't take that out, I don't think. They took that, see that? Here's I'll show you. If you guys are interested in garbage. So this is a thing for shawarma or something, you know. And so they kind of tore it apart. There's some alcohol things, you know, beer and whatever there. Anyway, I hate it. But that's how it is. It's not like people are that bad in Belarus. Normally they're not. Okay. So, but anyway, they have until midnight to make my prediction more accurate. And it's not that I'm hoping for that. I certainly don't, even if I, you know, want to think I'm going to be right or whatever the deal is. It's not really that. I don't know. There's probably a lot more lucrative ways to end this conflict, but you know, the United States and Donald Trump in particular, they have to look like the big tough guys. So we have to, nobody tells us what to do. We are the United States and we do this. And even though a lot of time Donald Trump is completely lying and talking how tough he is, when in fact he's not, he's looking very weak. Even I guess Friedrich Merz from Germany came out and said that, and then in return to that, Donald Trump said, "Oh, I think we're going to take some of our forces out of Germany," and a lot of people don't want the forces there. And if Germany starts acting like a real country, they don't friggin' need any U.S. forces there. And of course, Germany is building up their military massively anyway. You know, gearing up for it, because these people, you know, and I don't understand it. I don't know if anybody really does, but they really want a war with Russia. I don't understand it. Like I say, I really don't. Or maybe they really don't want this war, but they just want to make a lot of money, because that's a way to make a lot of money. That's how politicians make huge amounts of money. Look at Zelensky himself. He loves the war because he's making tremendous amounts of money. And I tell you what, if you're looking at a lot of the main channels or something over here in Russia, because a lot of this stuff was reported that there is such massive corruption and so much money getting stolen by the Ukrainians. I'll tell you what, the corruption is beyond, it is, I don't even know, it's beyond what you can possibly believe on what is going on now. There is so much corruption. Most of this is going through Ukraine. And I'll tell you what, in Russia, against the people of Russia, and this has been going on for years, even on the metros and things here you go in Belarus, I've mentioned it before, on the buses and things, they have these public announcements. They only have one public announcement, and that's what it is. Beware, and they don't say it's Ukrainians, but it's Ukrainians. And we have land for sale in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and somebody contacted us, you know, and they wanted to pay more for the land and what, you know, and meet us or whatever in Milan and all the, oh, you can't, I'm a big investor kind of, and I even looked up and I saw a couple different things going by that name, and the guy might have just borrowed the name, probably if it's a Jewish name, of course, and he said he's actually Swiss. And we talked to him on WhatsApp. He doesn't sound Swiss at all. He sounded like he's from the Middle East. He sounded like maybe Israeli, you know. He might be Ukrainian. I have no idea. It has an accent. It's not a Swiss accent. There's no doubt about that. And anyway, the site where he got it from apparently was a Russian site that my wife put it on. And the Ukrainians are looking for scams all over the place to scam people. You know, they have call centers. They call people up, you know, and they say this and that, and I don't really know, and it's mostly old people, and a lot of time, and there was even a priest, you know, I'm working at a bakery, you know, at the monastery there, and a priest was there talking to people and saying, you know, that they're calling him up and saying all this stuff, that he has to pay some certain bills or else they're going to charge him a lot more money, and all this is electricity bill, blah blah blah, and he kind of plays along with it a little bit, and then he says, I don't have to pay I live in this certain kind of communal house. I don't pay that, you know. Anyway, it was a big scam, and 99% of the time, it is Ukrainians involved in it. And, you know, a lot of it might be running through the government, but I've told you guys before that even long before, I'm talking way back in when, let me think, in the 1990s, there was huge amounts of corruption, corrupt people and corrupt scams and everything going through Ukraine. You know, and whenever you talk to people like from Belarus or Russia and all that, they stay away from Ukraine, you know, about all the corruption. And even before this thing with the Democrats or whatever, you know, in the United States, you know, like I stand with Ukraine and all that kind of crap, you know, Ukraine was looked at even by the United States as a incredibly corrupt country. You know, and Zelensky, I mean, there's so much. I cannot possibly tell you guys about it. You would have to watch hours and hours and hours of reports and things that's going through, not just Russia, but also in Ukraine. The Ukrainians are talking about Zelensky. They try not to connect Zelensky's name, but all these people, Mindich, you know, what do they call it? Zelensky's bag man, and all of this stuff and this corruption. These people that have taken off out of Ukraine, and most of them went to Israel. Oh, wait, why Israel? You know, oh my God, you know. So a lot of this stuff, you know, that I talk about, and, you know, a lot of people talk about on the news, maybe I'm talking about things that a lot of people don't mention, or maybe the things you guys can't get, you know, because I'm catching it from, you know, maybe English-speaking people that are broadcasting from Russia on different platforms. And of course, not like YouTube, because that's blocked. That's blocked for the most part from, a spy. Look at, he's running, look at him run. Yes, that is a thing. I remember making a joke video, I don't know what, several months ago, and apparently, I don't know, there's some sort of a deal with they do use pigeons as spies. I don't really know exactly how they do it, if they put cameras on them or what the deal is. But anyway, that's just part of it. Actually, this is not even the part what I'm going to be talking about in this video. And but I'm putting, but the corruption is so massive in Ukraine, and they're snapping so many people off the street. There's so many videos, and it just keeps coming, you know, and they're wrestling these people. There's one person on each leg and each arm, and somebody, you know, and they throw a few punches at these people. A lot of times they're injured and they can't fight. There's even been a couple people that have died with they're trying to mobilize to send them to the front to die under Russian artillery. And then it turns out that even these drone companies, these defense companies that Zelensky's running, and you remember he was just in the UAE and Dubai, all of these countries there, and the Emirates, in the Persian Gulf and all that. And I think he even went to Saudi Arabia. He's trying to sell his fantastic drone protection, you know, technology and stuff like that. Most of them never bought it. They sent him home pack and they said, get out of here. But it turns out that's all fraud as well. It's absolutely unbelievable. And then they had, I don't know, just that it's so much fraud, fake weapons and this and that. And then they had some tape that was leaked. And I think it was Mindich. Mindich was saying this, or Mindich was there. I don't know if Zelensky was there at the time, but they're talking about the fact that they want to get a bunch of money from Europe, and you know, and with these plans and things, and they said that they can build like these missiles in Ukraine for 8 times less. But of course there's a lot of corruption. People be stealing the money. Anybody involved, you know, the upper people in the production of these weapons, they'd be stealing the money. It's, oh man. And of course a lot of them won't even work, the missiles. And anyway, I don't need to keep going on to this. It's just absolutely incredible. So anyway, as far as what I was saying at the beginning, you know, about this attack, some of you people said you don't mind me going on these tangents. Well, that was kind of a tangent right there. And but I was talking about the May 1st actually. And you know, they still have until midnight tonight to see, like I said, if that prediction comes about or not. And you know, you kind of hope it doesn't. And you know, I'm looking at a lot of these videos online and stuff, and it's like I'm looking at this footage and stuff and listening to what these people say, and it's like they're rehashing old stuff. This is stuff that's maybe weeks old, and they're talking as if it just happened, and even the video was just uploaded, and they don't tell you, oh, that this is from weeks ago. So I don't know, people are maybe just looking for stuff to put online to you know, get clicks for their sites or something. And as far as I know, these are also decent people, but I don't really know at all. And you know, Candace Owens is talking. I'm not talking in a bad vein about Candace Owens, of course, but like this stuff with Erica Kirk accusing her of saying, Erica Kirk said that Candace Owens said I killed my husband, and I don't think that Candace Owens ever said that, and I don't know if there's anybody that says that they remember. I think Candace Owens has raised the possibility that she might have something to do with the killing of Charlie Kirk, but not that she killed Charlie Kirk or that she is involved in the planning, but maybe the cover-up. But she suspects that there's something that is because she should be acting differently. I think that's all that Candace Owens has been getting onto, which is true. Okay, so that's more about that. The main thing I really want to talk about, and this is really big, it's actually far more important than even this war in Iran to a large extent, even though it has something to do with the war in Iran, is climate modification. Now, Jimmy Dore put out a very good video some days ago about that. Other people have been talking about it. And up until this point, I admit, I thought this was just overdone and it's kind of fraud, that they can't really necessarily manipulate the climate, modify it or whatever as they believe or think that they can or whatever. I mean, and part of testament to that, as you all know, is Bill Gates, and I guess his project is okayed, and he wants to, in various ways, I've heard dragging a big hose or something by an airplane or whatever the deal, probably from a C-130. I don't know if he's actually done this. I think they actually have done this in places. To what extent, how long, I don't know. But anyway, to emit a whole bunch of toxic chemicals, toxic to plant life. It goes into plant life, and it means that it's ingested by animals, including human beings, of course. And it's obviously toxic to human beings, even if it comes, because he wants to spray these chemicals, like one is like aluminum oxide or something, in the stratosphere, not in the ionosphere even. So very low, and obviously it's going to be falling to Earth, maybe with precipitation or who knows what. It will fall to the Earth. It's an undeniable fact, and he is acting as if the big great scientist of Bill Gates. He's a friggin' software engineer, and that's it. He's not a doctor. He's not a big scientist and all this, and I don't even care who he's talking to. Everybody wants to make some money. When you're not named, you're somewhere in the background. That's great, because you can lie and do anything and end up getting rich and just take the money and run, baby. And that's, maybe some scientists are even involved in that. I don't really know. Or Bill Gates prodded them, or Bill Gates' theory. But anyway, to put these chemicals, and he believes that these things will reflect the sun's rays back up into the atmosphere. I mean, think about it. It's a theory, but it's not even tested, and he wanted to implement this on a grand scale. And like I said, I am 100, not 100%, nearly 100% positive that Bill Gates has actually done this. But I don't know where, because the project was okayed by the United States government with your taxpayers' money, by the way, just like the ballroom. Like I've mentioned already before, I said that about the ballroom. I was practically the only one, and now everybody else is talking about it, because it was revealed that it is taxpayers' money, and people were, the MAGA bots, or I don't know who they were going after me. And it's going to be paid for. It's not going to be paid for by taxpayers' money. It's going to be investors or Donald Trump out of his pocket. I don't know. But it was revealed that it's not the case. The whole thing, nobody knows 100% sure what this whole thing is about the ballroom. Donald Trump, of course, he's interested in his legacy, and apparently he tore down I guess it was the East Wing of the White House for this ballroom. I don't know how deep this would have to go down, pretty deep. And he's apparently trying to make this a very, very solid structure, and not to protect people dancing around in the ballroom or nothing like that, the windows, but it's for the military center below. So I guess he wants this big, huge command military center below, and that's probably what the entirety of all of this is all about anyway. And there is also rumors, which I don't necessarily believe, that there will be no more elections anymore. and Donald Trump is gonna be there for a long time. I'm not gonna disbelieve anything, because so much stuff has happened that everybody thought was impossible, and it turns out it's not impossible. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. So I'm not gonna discount anything. So, but anyway, this big military command center, I don't really know when this all is supposed to be finished. Is maybe in the last year of Donald Trump's terms. Oh, it's coming in under budget and it's ahead of time, and you know how Donald Trump always brags that everything is done earlier than what was projected. It costs less than what it was projected, and it's the greatest that has ever existed in all history by far. And that's probably what this is all gonna be anyway. It's gonna be by far the greatest ballroom. We really need a ballroom, and and it's really sad. It's very sad that we had some people that are I don't know if they're people. Like I said, there might be these bots, and they commented on that video that I put up about the ballroom, and they say, we need this ballroom. And Donald Trump is like, friggin', why do we need this ballroom? Even Nick Fuentes came out and said this is a bunch of hogwash. I mean, we need a ballroom. That's really, I think there's a lot of things needed far more than a ballroom. And Donald Trump, I don't know about these big battleships. Are they being built right now with rail guns? It's sort of like miniature, like those bombs that Russia makes. The name slipped my mind at the moment. Oreshniks, and they have these rail guns. They do exist, and these are powerful things, and it's used with kinetic energy, and Anyway, they might even have these on these drones or whatever that Donald Trump is saying now they have far more powerful drones for when the war does start up again with Iran, that maybe it's these types of bullets that he's talking about. So, I don't know. And Iran, I'm sure that they're not sitting there sleeping during this so-called ceasefire. I see all this crap online, and everybody's using these things as clickbait that Iran bombed Lebanon, and hit IDF, and I don't know about all of this stuff. There's just too much fake stuff. But anyway, I was going to talk about weather modification. There's just so much stuff. I haven't done a video for some days, so I'm trying to get, when I keep up on the news, I'm trying to do this. So anyway, whether you believe it or not, this climate modification is really, really big news. And I think there are officials in the United States that have said that it is the ultimate weapon. Being able to modify climate is the ultimate weapon. And for a large extent, it really is. Because you can imagine on what you can do with climate. Wow. And I'm hoping that I can put up this video, like I was telling you, with Jimmy Dore. And normally I have to wait until the video is uploaded. I don't think I can post this video earlier, so I have to wait. And if a lot of you are watching this right now, and if I don't post the Jimmy Dore video, and maybe there was another one or two about climate modification, you might have to look again. Make sure you use a different phone so I get another view, and or something, your phone or your television or a smart TV or whatever, and I'll put up those videos in case you maybe didn't see them yourself. Because I was trying to find the one from Jimmy Dore after he put it up, and he puts out a lot of very interesting information about this. And he was the same as me. He didn't think that it was possible to, on that scale, to modify the climate. But apparently the United States has been able to do that for quite some time. The theory was first, what is it called? It's postulated by Nikola Tesla a long time ago. And Tesla, I guess, for scientific technology, I guess he was like the Bruce Lee, like Bruce Lee is for some of the chi and fighting things and all that. Tesla is the man in science, and we haven't had anybody since then, anything like Tesla. As much as some things are amazing from Elon Musk or whatever, it's not anything close to Nikola Tesla. Maybe that's why he called his car company Tesla. And I don't know, I won't go into Tesla, some amazing things that he did. And I remember in 2011, Ahmadinejad, who was at that time the president of Iran, was accusing the United States of climate modification to stop the rain in Iran. And they were, I think they were maybe able to use this rain in some of these other Gulf states and stop it from going to Iran, from crossing the Gulf. And of course, everybody said it's ridiculous, and Iran, it's their thing. They can't manage their water. And anyway, I think I wrote it down what they said. But I guess the United States kind of started this, and I'll get into it, in 2002. They started putting up these radars, which I don't know, are they radars, or can radars do that, or are they radars and something else? Part of the HARP program, what they were using in HARP. That HARP was mostly in Alaska. That was a research program, I do believe, more than anything else. And it wasn't made, I guess, to modify climate itself, but it was to, I guess, do the research on probably how they can modify the climate. And maybe they made some of those things, and they look strange. I've seen pictures of it, and it looks very much in certain ways like radars. And it's, why not put it in radars in those places? But ever since the United States put up these radars, it's practically stopped raining in Iran. And that was like back in around 2002. And it significantly dropped and virtually never returned. It never returned to Iran until April, until just a few weeks ago, when Iran destroyed some of these radars. And then there was some other kind of a building, it's a center or something maybe, where things were coordinated through. And now all of a sudden Iran is getting abundant rainfall like they've never seen in all of history by far, anyway. But a huge amounts, and it even snowed in Iran. And there's some really strange stuff going on. It makes me wonder if this cold climate stuff, I don't know. I doubt very much doing something to a few radars in the Gulf is going to change the climate up here in Belarus and Russia and all that, with snow, in late April. And I think they've had May parades where it's been very cold. I think I remember, coats, Russian soldiers on the May Day parade, and it's going to happen here on May 9th. They're having a little one here in Belarus. They do after, I think it's in the evening. I could go, but I probably have other things I'm going to be doing, like sleeping, because I have to probably work the next day. But anyway, I believe Lukashenko will probably go to the one in Moscow. I think he usually does. And remember, that was just what was it, in 2023? 2023, when the West was trying to assassinate Lukashenko on May 9th. So, I don't know. You really got to be on your toes, apparently, to be a leader in a lot of these countries. And I don't think, I'll tell you what, at the moment, I think they're holding back on a lot of things. I don't know, is the Druzhba, I believe it is open, and it's open for right now, maybe, because Orban is gone, and they have this new guy in, and he approved of the money going to Ukraine. And apparently the United States has some money that's earmarked for Ukraine, and it's not a huge amount, it's 400 million, but that was approved long ago, and they're holding it back. So it looks like Donald Trump is actually very stingy, not really wanting to contribute that much to Ukraine unless he gets money. So apparently he really is pissed off about Zelensky scamming the United States out of hundreds of billions, which is what he scammed the United States for, hundreds of billions of dollars. I believe it's what, because you always saw these many billions, and it was like every month it was like 350 million that Biden was sending free of charge to Ukraine. I don't know, maybe I think it was Trump said 300 billion. I don't know, it's at least 100 billion that the United States gave free of charge to Ukraine. And it was their scam, it was their scheme from the very beginning, from the United States, and now the United States has basically stepped back from it, letting Europe take over for that. Whether Europe really wants to do this or not, or whether they're just scamming their people, building their militaries, maybe in case they're going to need it, in order to get rich themselves. Oh, there's so much, world's full of scams. And somebody tried to scam us. Like was I saying that? It was from some site, and yeah, I think it's to buy our land. I started talking about that. I think I didn't quite finish, but anyway, we were ready to go there and everything like that, and then we asked some certain questions, and he wanted to pay more for the land than what we were asking for it, and some other sort of things. But what it was going to do, they're probably going to rob us when we get there. It's not like we have, maybe they wanted the original deed and force us, at gunpoint to sign over. And I'm pretty sure it's probably Ukrainians, because it was advertised on a Russian site, apparently. And who would have been reading that anyway? I don't know if I completed that story when I started it earlier. So radars and all that kind of stuff. Iran is the fourth most rain rain-stressed nation on Earth. And of course, it all started when the United States put the so-called radars up. So, and as soon as they were destroyed, immediately, it's absolutely incredible, absolutely incredible. And the United States, a lot of officials have admitted, if you go to AI and you look it up on AI, you have to be kind of tricky, because if you put it out, oh, has American officials ever said that they blah 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 about climate modification, and they'll say no, it's a conspiracy theory, and then you have to start tricking it. And I was doing it. I can't remember which questions I asked, various questions, and then you find out that and watch the Jimmy Dore video, because I think he talks about the fact that the United States government has admitted that they can do climate modification. And I know if we go back, I think it was even in the 80s or 90s, Israel was asking the United States to do climate modification on their behalf for some area or something like that in Israel. I know that for a fact, because I remember reading about that. But some weird that some things that you remember, isn't it? And it's, in one way, it's kind of a good thing to be older when you remember seeing a lot of this stuff. And I see a lot of news, a lot of people are putting out, and they don't know a lot of this stuff, that this was stuff that has been going on for decades and decades, just like what they're doing to the Palestinians. It didn't just recently start. They've been doing that forever, persecuting the Palestinians. It's just, this Gaza thing was actually a big escalation, killing tens of thousands of children on purpose. Children, that's the main goal. And a lot of Israelis have admitted that is their main goal, is to kill children. Do you remember Kaya Kallis, when she said in a video, and I couldn't believe my ears, and I'm not going to forget this one either, because I saw her, and it's like you can read her lips, and you can see that she's mouthing this. This was a little bit before AI was even getting very big. And Kaya Kallis, I'm going to make sure that was Kaya Kallis. It wasn't Ursula von der Leyen. She said, we have to kill more Russian children. It's like, oh, what a humanitarian. There's just too much stuff. Like some of the things in the Epstein files. And it's not like with all these millions and millions of documents that it's somebody sat around and faked all of these emails and documents of all of this stuff. Pizza, which I guess they now have confirmed means children. So to get a pizza and all this kind of, oh man. Grape soda. I don't know. I think I thought I knew what that one was, because they were talking about always pizza and grape soda. I can't recall necessarily. And a lot of this stuff, your mind doesn't want to remember it, so you forget it, because it's so abhorrent. Sometimes these abhorrent things you cannot forget. But some of these things, it's like, I don't know. Your mind forces you to forget it. So anyway, so yeah, what they said was that Iran is a rain-stressed country because of corruption and mismanagement. Yeah, yeah. They, we all have seen how Iranian management is, and corruption. I don't know. I doubt it. I doubt it very, very much. Depends on what you mean from corruption. I remember once looking up in a dictionary about corruption, and it was more than an entire page. And the number one is rotting meat or something like that, decaying meat or something, that's corruption, and all this stuff. And I looked, and I was there looking for a long time, trying to find out, corruption, a real definition of corruption. One size fits all. And the best definition is when you have illegal or unethical behavior conducted by a person or persons in an official position. I kind of mixed two very, very good definitions to get that definition of what corruption is. And you have to be kind of aware, nowadays you have different definitions of different words, such as fascism. Fascism, in the old days, it was a marriage of corporate money to government power. And nowadays it's something to do with race, or something like Nazis or something. And it's like anti-Semitism. It used to be you're against Semitic peoples, which includes like American Indians, and which includes Eskimos and Palestinians and Arabic peoples, and possibly Jews too. Only certain Jews, a small percentage of Jews, But now it means only people that don't like Jewish people. That's anti-Semitic. When the huge, broader definition are the other groups. And it's an undeniable fact when you see how these Israelis hate the Palestinians. They are the most, and I think it was this new person running for Congress, this Dan Bilzerian, and I have been saying this for years, that the most anti-Semitic people in the world are the Israelis. They're the most anti-Semitic people on the face of the planet, and it's not like all Israelis, but definitely over half of them. What percentage, I don't know. Maybe I'm painting things with a large brush. Maybe it's like 95%, maybe it's 90%. I have no idea. Even those that don't like Benjamin Netanyahu does not mean that they are not supremacist people. Supremacist. What is ethnic supremacy? That's Nazism, by the way. That's why they get along so well with Ukraine, which the forebearers of Ukraine worshipped Adolf Hitler and what Adolf Hitler stood for, the Nazis there, and gosh, Nazism. You guys all know what it is. Thinking that you are ethnically superior to another group or other groups. And if you want to say, like this Dan Bilzerian, he started bringing things out a little bit more in light, because are shedding light on things that I never really practiced too much. I used to be calling this the biggest scourge was Zionism, and they made a big mistake by giving him Anti-Semite of the Year, because he's very much in demand now on a lot of podcasts, and he's actually saying some amazing things. So he's talking about Jewish supremacy. Jewish supremacy is the culprit, not even necessarily Zionism. But most Zionists are part of a certain type of evil too. Oh my God. I mean, I can make a video on this, and I guess I'm not going to get into it too deeply, but he's not even against Jews, but they call him an anti-Semite. He is against Jewish supremacy. So let's just end it at that. Okay, let's keep going. I talked about HAARP, a little bit about Bill Gates dragging his hose around. Let's see. I should also say maybe that a lot of this stuff, like Bill Gates and his toxic chemicals, things like that, I don't know what kind of food the rich billionaires, which includes a lot of pedophiles, including pedophiles, I guess I should say, a lot of them big pedophile billionaires. I don't know what food they eat, but if Bill Gates wants to drag his hose around whip his hose out, drag it around in the stratosphere out there. Sometimes it gets cold, but anyway, I don't know what these billionaires eat for food. And I'll tell you what, you would be surprised that a lot of these people, they eat, like the Obamas made it very clear, they would only get food from specific places, very, very specific spaces. They would not get food from the regular grocery market. None of that stuff. They wouldn't eat that stuff. They only got it from specific places. A lot of leaders. I know for a fact that Alexander Lukashenko of Belarus, he gets special food. He just doesn't eat food from anywhere because it has to be trusted, because the fear of getting poisoned, because a lot of people, can you imagine what it's like to be a leader a lot of times when people, want to destroy your country? Wow. It's terrible. It's terrible. A terrible way to live. So, anyway, I should make a comparison once that I want to, and I might have even mentioned it before, to compare Donald Trump with Alexander Lukashenko. In some ways, they are very, very, very similar. In some ways, they are the exact opposite. You see, they're both kind of strongman leaders. I'll just basically say it now. Strongman type leaders, all that sort of authoritarian in a lot of ways, or most ways, or whatever like that. But if you look at Donald Trump, he prides himself on destabilizing everything. And Alexander Lukashenko, his goal is to stabilize things. So that is where they're the exact opposites. He likes stability, and Donald Trump likes instability. He likes to upset the apple cart, as I always say. And Alexander Lukashenko, I guess you would call that in a lot of ways ultra conservative. He doesn't want any drastic changes at all. When things are going good, well, it's like, if it's not broken, don't fix it. And Donald Trump says, well, if it's going good, let's break it and let's fix it to make it more suitable for me, to where me and my billionaire friends can make more money in Israel. Anyway, so enough on that. Okay. Yeah, but climate change is a weapon, or whatever the stuff is going on now. We have killing people off, and I just mentioned the billionaire globalists and all that, and they're seeking ways, obviously, to reduce the world's population. It's called eugenics or whatever like that. WEF talked about it, and now we have this big problem coming about. You remember when they came around and said, you will own nothing and be happy, and they said you're just going to be sitting around at home and drones are going to be delivering everything to you. And it's like, well, who's making all this stuff? They didn't even talk about then that it would be robots and AI and all that sort of a thing. But it's like, what is to justify your existence? If you're not working or anything like that, then you actually do become what they refer to us as useless eaters. And only they are not the useless eaters, because they're the billionaires and they're sitting around, and they want more and more and more. Somebody's even got to maintain these robots. I don't know, maybe they have robots maintaining the robots. But somehow there's something is not going to fit. Something is not going to fit in our future. So 80 to 90% of us very, very soon, and I'm talking very soon, maybe in about 10 years, are going to be, I don't know if the word is redundant, or we're going to be useless. We're going to be useless. In about 10 years, I would project when we're going to be losing our jobs. And it's like, well, how do we go from this transition to where we actually work, we get money, we can go to the supermarket and buy food and all that, to where we don't have money? We're not getting any money anymore. Is somebody just going to send us a paycheck and then we can go, to the supermarket? I don't know. There's something just doesn't fit here. So we're going beyond you will own nothing and be happy. And of course, even if, do you think you'll be happy when you own nothing? They had all sorts of these fantasy things, that you have an apartment, and while you're, did they say, at work? And if there's going to be robots and AI doing our work, how can we be at work, and in the meantime there's going to be like people meeting in your apartment? And how many meetings are there when you have millions or billions of people on Earth? There's going to be billions of meetings going on at the same time in our apartments, because we don't own our apartments anymore. And even like your Apple cell phone or whatever, everybody wants an Apple, they think, you know. So they get an Apple, and instead of going and paying whatever it is, $1,000 or 2,000, I don't have an Apple. I don't know. I paid enough for this telephone, and I don't even. It's one of those painful things that you forget, like I was just mentioning earlier, that I don't remember how much I paid for it. That it was like the year before model, and the new one had come out, so the price was down. Anyway, I talked to somebody that did get the new model, and they paid less, but they bought it in Dubai. I got the year before model. I got the S23, the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, which I'm talking to you on right now, and they got the S24 and paid less money for it, you know, because they bought it in Dubai, and I guess the rich people in Dubai pay less. The world is a crazy place. But anyway, own nothing and be happy. So you don't own your cell phone. Maybe you pay every month like $3 for your Apple. And what happens when you break it? When you break it, you pay for it, of course. And you know, or what are you going to do? Can you have 5 cell phones and you pay $3 a month for each of them? And where does that money come from? The dollars that you pay for that? I guess they'll send it to you. It's free of charge. So why don't they just give us a phone charge? I mean, a phone free. I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, I don't know if that's going to make us happy. You will own nothing and be happy. Most people will get happy when they own stuff. That's the billionaires. So I guess it's the billionaires. They're going to own this stuff. This is definitely true. And they're going to be happy. But we're going to own nothing and be happy. I'll tell you what, we're going to own nothing and be very sad. Anyway. So the future looks miserable for humanity. And when I was talking, I was going to throw this in. It was about the butterfly effect. You guys know the butterfly effect. And it was created with climate in mind. It stated that a butterfly flapping its wings in Brazil can result in a tornado in Texas. That was the first thing that they said about the butterfly effect, you know, the tornado in Texas and all that. The guy, it was a climatologist called Edward Lorenz in the 1960s is when and it was part of a chaos theory, you know, and I guess essentially, you know, and they use this same thing when they make these movies about time travel. You know, changing one little thing can change everything drastically in the present, you know, when they go back into the past. But you guys know what I'm getting at. So they said the minor events in one place or time, I put in time, can trigger massive unpredictable consequences elsewhere. There is no doubt that there is truth to this. There's no doubt about this, you know. I think it was in Black Adder. I don't know if they changed the events when they went back in time or something. I think there was a movie that came out after that, the series Black Adder with Rowan Atkinson. Anyway, guys, maybe I should watch that tonight. Doing something and it changes the future or whatever. But think of what these, you know, Hegseth was challenged, I guess, in Congress by Congress people just a day or so ago. And if you think about the stuff that they were putting out, they're putting in hypotheticals, you know, and it's not the butterfly effect. It's a hypothetical butterfly effect. It goes into the realm of stupidity. And what was Pete Hegseth? Oh, if Iran would be able to get a nuclear weapon, well, what if they're not? Oh, what if Zimbabwe gets a nuclear weapon? You know, and they used to say, well, what if North Korea gets a nuclear? Well, guess what? North Korea has a nuclear weapon, and they're probably a lot better. They manage it a lot better than the United States, because who is the only country in the world in history to use a nuclear weapon at all? Not to mention the fact they used it on a civilian population twice, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And they used it on a civilian population. They didn't bomb the military, they bombed civilians. And it's the United States. The only one probably that's capable of doing something similar is, of course, Israel. It's probably going to be one of those two countries if a nuclear weapon is to be used. Or Ukraine. And there's a lot of theory that France and other people want to engineer a way for Ukraine to get nuclear weapons. And Ukraine has been begging for nuclear weapons because they want to use it. They want to use it on Russia. There's no doubt about that. Can you imagine this corrupt guy, one of the most corrupt people on the planet, one of the most, there's quite a few, Vladimir Zelensky having a nuclear bomb? Absolutely incredible. It's frightening. But you can cut and paste, Donald Trump's theory, what is this? I had a name for his theory. It's his butterfly effect hypothetical theories. Oh, if Iran gets a nuclear weapon, anyway. But cut and paste. Oh, I called it a hypothetical butterfly effect fantasy from Pete Hegseth. And cut and paste, because it comes right out of Netanyahu's book. Iran, remember, he's been saying for decades, many decades, Iran is building a nuclear bomb, they're 2 months away. And then, I don't know, one time they said it's 2 weeks away. You have to, when they can engineer, he thought he can get them to attack the United States, to attack Iran very, very quickly. And, they're 2 weeks away from a nuclear bomb. And I tell you what, they have, I guess, uranium enriched to 60%, and I believe to get a nuclear bomb it's much more difficult, because I believe it has to be beyond 90%. I don't even know if you can make a dirty bomb from 60% enriched uranium. I don't know. And a lot of people highly suspect that Ukraine does have material for a dirty bomb, and they probably do. So very frightening. Oh no, it's almost an hour. But anyway, what's a butterfly effect, I guess, when you talk about this stuff with Iran and the United States? I guess killing the Ayatollah, that was one thing. Oh, remember Netanyahu. I guarantee you that it will have enormous effects in the Middle East if you take out Iraq. And I think he might have even said at that time to kill Saddam Hussein, or whatever the deal is. And of course they killed Saddam Hussein because that was at the behest of Israel, obviously. I don't. Anyway, you guys all know the deal. But it's look at what happened. Look at the string of events that has happened since that time. Everybody is actually scared the United States is going to come after them. A lot of people, probably at this very day, they are thinking they want to get into making nuclear weapons. I mean, now look at Finland wants nuclear weapons. They want to get them at least from France or whatever. I mean, but they want to use it, and they want to take there's a northern parts of Russia. Now, I know that it includes Murmansk, and I've been mentioning Murmansk quite a bit now, because Belarus is supposed to be getting a port there, and I think it's going to be finished by 2028. And Finland wants to go after Murmansk, and I think, that soon after that, and they want to attack shipping from Murmansk. Europe does, the Baltic states and all that, and I don't know why they single out Murmansk. But, it's probably also other areas, probably St. Petersburg, which is bigger shipping, I don't know, port. But anyway, it's nothing. So they're trying to, Donald Trump keeps talking about Iran's hypothetical nuclear weapons program as his justification for doing the stupid thing, being the stupidest president in U.S. history to be actually bombing Iran. These, I am so brilliant, and everybody knows that I mean, Donald Trump, I think he compensates for his stupidity, is why he says how great he is and how intelligent and how brilliant he is and all that. Donald Trump is a ruthless bastard. He's I remember once talking to somebody, and we were talking about this person that I was talking to, he went to school with the leader of a country. And I was saying, that the guy is intelligent and all that. And anyway, this guy went to school with him. He said, no, he's not. What did he say? He used the word, he is cunning. He said the person is cunning. I don't know, Donald Trump might not be cunning, but Donald Trump is like a gangster. He's brutal. He's a brutal guy, and he knows how to manipulate people. So he's a manipulator. I've said that in a lot of things. It's not that he is highly intelligent. You know, there's so much stuff that Donald Trump doesn't know. Some of the things that he's doing, none of us would be doing. We would have the sense not to do it. But Donald Trump does it. Look at one of his chief advisors is Laura Loomer. Laura Loomer is a nutcase, and everybody knows that. You can see some of the videos about her. And she's like a female Donald Trump. She is ruthless. Look at how she goes after Candace Owens or anything. Somebody going after somebody that ruthlessly, you know, and coming up with all of these things that cannot be proven about Candace Owens. Anyway, I don't have to say anything more about that. But anybody with two working brain cells knows that the actions taken by Donald Trump and, of course, Israel is going to make the world less safe, and it already has. I mean, this stuff has started before. I mean, what do we call that? The butterfly effect? Attacking one, provoking all these countries. Look at how long the United States has been provoking Russia, and now they got Ukraine to provoke Russia. They got this group of Nazis, the Banderites, to provoke Russia. These people, they think they are so superior. You know, when you make people think that they are so superior, they think like they're Superman. And they think, you know, all of these people, and you get like, even Zelensky wasn't really like that, but apparently they easily convinced him. He was actually kind of rational, apparently. Or maybe that was a ploy, because the guy's an actor, actually, after all. You know, saying, oh, we should make friends with Russia. But he probably did that just to win the vote. And then when he got into office, he wants to kill Russians. He said that's what drives him. He says his hatred of Russians is what keeps him going. It's incredible. I don't really understand. I don't understand the logic of people like Kaya Kallas and Ursula von der Leyen, Friedrich Merz, and all of these people. Why are these people... Why do they think hatred and hostility is the way to go? That's the way to advance everything. I don't know. I've learned different, and I'm sure all of you that watch this channel have also learned different. I'm sure that is not your mode of thinking. You know? Look at Vladimir Putin and why Donald Trump absolutely admires Vladimir Putin, because the guy is not evil. He's a equal thinking guy. He thinks equally. He's a lot of people say based. He's based. Vladimir Putin. Lukashenko acts a lot more like a tough guy, but everything he does, you know, when you say know them by their fruits, look at all of the wise decisions that Lukashenko makes. But he is a tough guy. That's all I'll have to say. And Vladimir Putin acts all calm and all this all the time and calculated. And I don't know. So everybody admires Vladimir Putin. Virtually every leader on earth, and probably even a lot of these people that say they hate him, you know, which is half of Europe and the Baltics, you know, the Baltic states and all that. But you look at all of Africa, all of Asia, and so many people, and they all admire Vladimir Putin. That includes Donald Trump, by the way. So consensus. Anyway, so I don't know why these people, like I said, Friedrich Merz and these people want to be consumed with hatred. But anyway, and they want to radicalize countries, and maybe it's anyway, always theory. I'm gonna cough here. So anyway, I'll end right now. Losing my voice too. And I thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.